Today, I want to talk about the sequel to Fate Stay Night, Fate Hollow Ataraxia. I am about halfway into the game and want to give my first impressions and theories on it. I also plan to do a full review after I complete the game and see how my opinions change over time and see if any of my theories were correct. There will be many spoilers to Fate Stay Night, but if there's anything major, I will put a timestamp on screen for you to skip to. Let's get into it. Set 6 months after the 5th Holy Grail War, from what I believe to be the Fate route, with some knowledge from the other routes like Sakura's involvement in the war and Archer's identity known to other characters. Here in Fuyuki, something is off. The servants from the war are all in town living day-to-day life as if the Holy Grail War was restarted. Shiro catches on to this anomaly and tries to find out what is happening. Meanwhile, a mage, Bazet Fraga Mekuritz from the Mage Association, has been sent to Fuyuki as a master for the 5th Holy Grail War. She wakes up in an abandoned mansion next to a servant of the secret 8th class adventure. As days pass, both Bazet and Shiro find out that they have been stuck in a time loop of 4 days. In the game, you go through 4 days talking to various different people, whether to learn about them, have some interesting scenes, or go further into the mystery of the restarted Holy Grail War. To start off, it is clear that the production value has increased from Fate Stay Night, as there's a lot of extra stuff such as more animations during scenes, special menus, and even mini-games. Currently, I am just over half of the game, and it seems like a lot of questions from the beginning are just about to be answered. Throwing 2 different perspectives is something I find quite interesting as well, each giving us small clues as to what is happening with odd occurrences that link the 2 perspectives. The soundtrack from what I heard so far has some really great tracks that go perfect with more mystery-like sections, along with many casual tracks that play while hanging out with people around town, which adds a more soothing feel to those scenes. There's one track in particular that I love, playing whenever a big revelation occurs in the story that perfectly captures and enhances the moment of shock in that moment. The time you get during the day in the game is something I really enjoy, with you making the choice of getting further behind the mystery or just spending time with the characters you love from Fate Stay Night. Chilling with Lancer on the dog and him talking about his past life was relaxing and made me appreciate him more as a character. On the topic of characters, the dynamic between both Bazet, someone with a machine-like work ethic that follows any order given, while having slight cracks into that facade time to time, combos perfectly with the more laid-back Avenger, who does what he wants, unless forced to. Even though there are times when the two seem to get along well and have interesting conversations with one another, there's still a great amount of distrust behind them, adding suspense to the relationship between the two. Now, let's move on to the final section, my theories on what is happening within the story. This section will contain spoilers from the game and the ending and certain plot points from Fate Stay Night, so if you don't want to hear them, please skip here. For my first theory, I believe that Shiro is possessed by Avenger. Just before the halfway point of the game, we see Shiro project a dagger, which at first I thought was Archer's blades. However, when the graphic changes, we see him holding a weapon, almost exactly like what Avenger used to murder the family on the first night. While slaying these beasts, even his behavior changes to that of the bloodlusting Avenger. In the next loop, you speak to Karen and talk about how possession exists. Well, why would Avenger want to possess him? Well, at the end of Heaven's Field, when Shiro cuts the ties between Sakura and Avenger, he denied his entrance to the world. No doubt he would hold a grudge, and this is his way to get back at him. This would also help explain why Shiro is one of the only people that retain their memories after each loop. Bazet was Lancer's first master in the 5th Holy Grail War. What do I mean by first master? Well, in the visual novel of Fate Stay Night, it is said that Lancer was stolen by Kotomine, cutting off the command seals, killing his former master, who was left unknown at the time. Bazet also from time to time clutches to some type of object that looks exactly like Lancer's earring. When in Bazet's perspective, there are times when she gets glimpses of her past, and one of those glimpses, you see Lancer in his bodysuit. This can further be proven by Lancer refusing to cooperate to solve this anomaly, as he knows he would be going up against his former master. To tie in with the previous theory, Bazet is some sort of spirit. If the previous theory is correct, that means that she had died in the 5th Holy Grail War, but still remains 6 months later. There are moments when Shiro seems to completely forget about Bazet's existence after a loop, despite recognizing other characters and other events almost immediately. There are also many instances where she should be in some places but isn't when Shiro visits there during the day. This could also explain her misinformation about the 5th Holy Grail War. Coming back 6 months later with no memories of her death would cause her to be ignorant of the fact that the war had ended. Those are some of the theories I managed to come up with based on the information the story has given me so far, and I am feeling pretty confident in the first 2, but only time will tell if they're correct. Those are some of my thoughts on the first half of Fate Hollow Ataraxia, and I can't wait to see the rest of the story to see how my opinions change over time, and to see if any of my theories were correct. I do plan to continue this first impression series and want to get better at organizing these kinds of videos. Keep a lookout because I have another first impressions and 2 reviews coming up. Thanks for watching. Later.